The HOA violation notice appeared on my door at exactly 6:47 a.m., citing infractions I knew I hadn't committed. I'm Blaine Cook, 34, Human Resources Specialist for Mountain West Energy. I've lived in Heritage Park subdivision here in Laurel Creek, Wyoming for 3 years. Never missed an HOA payment. Never violated a single covenant. The citation listed 4 violations. Unauthorized fence modification. Improper landscaping materials. Unapproved exterior paint color. Storage of prohibited items visible from street view. I walked my property line twice that morning. My cedar fence stood exactly where I'd installed it 18 months ago. 6 feet high. Proper setback from the sidewalk. The stain was Sherwin-Williams semi-transparent Cordovan brown, approved color SW3021 from the HOA Architectural Guidelines. My landscaping consisted of native Wyoming sage and ornamental grasses. All approved species. The only storage visible was my garbage bin, positioned according to City Ordinance 14.08.030. I photographed everything. Time-stamped images. GPS coordinates. Measured distances with my Stanley FatMax tape measure. The violation notice bore the official Heritage Park HOA letterhead, signed by Andrew Rogers, Architectural Review Committee Chairman. Dated 3 days prior. The inspection had allegedly occurred while I was at work. I called the HOA management company. Pinnacle Property Services confirmed the violations. They'd received a formal complaint from a resident. The inspection photos were on file. "Can I see the photos?" I asked. "You'll need to submit a written request," the clerk said. "Processing takes 5 to 7 business days." I drove to the HOA office that afternoon. The building sat on Elk Ridge Boulevard, a converted ranch house with vinyl siding and a gravel parking lot. The receptionist, Sadie Mitchell, handed me a records request form. "Standard procedure," she said. "We get a lot of these." I filled out the form. Paid the $20 processing fee. Waited. That evening, I walked Heritage Park's curved streets. Identical 2-story homes on quarter-acre lots. Manicured lawns. Regulation mailboxes. Everything in perfect compliance. I stopped at 847 Meadowlark Drive. Andrew Rogers' house. His fence was identical to mine. Same height. Same stain color. Same setback distance. His landscaping featured the same native plants I'd chosen. His garbage bin sat in the same position relative to his driveway, yet somehow, my property violated 4 separate covenants. I checked my security camera footage that night. The system covered my front yard and driveway. I scrolled through 3 days of recordings. No HOA inspector appeared. No one had photographed my property. The violation notice included a compliance deadline. 30 days to correct all infractions or face a $500 fine. Additional penalties would accrue at $50 per day. I printed copies of my security footage. Organized my photographs. Prepared my defense. But something felt wrong. The timing was too convenient. The violations too specific. The inspection too thorough for someone who'd never actually visited my property. I'd trusted this neighborhood. Paid my dues. Followed every rule. Now someone was systematically building a case against me, and I had no idea why. The records arrived 6 days later. Sadie Mitchell had included a cover letter apologizing for the delay. The envelope contained 12 pages of documentation. The inspection photo showed my property from multiple angles. Professional quality images. High resolution. Proper lighting. Someone had spent considerable time documenting every alleged violation. But I recognized the photographer's vantage points. These shots were taken from inside my backyard. From my side patio. From my own driveway. I compared the photos to my security footage. The timestamps didn't match any recorded activity. No inspector had entered my property during the documented time frame. Someone had fabricated these images. I called Pinnacle Property Services again. Different clerk this time. I explained the discrepancy between the photos and my security records. "Sir, we only process complaints filed by residents," she said. The inspection was conducted by a certified HOA compliance officer. "Who filed the complaint?" "That information is confidential." I requested the name of the compliance officer. She transferred me to a supervisor. The supervisor transferred me to the property manager. The property manager wasn't available. I drove to Heritage Park's community center that evening. The monthly HOA board meeting was scheduled for 7 o'clock. I'd never attended before, but homeowners were welcome to observe. The meeting room held folding chairs arranged in neat rows. A conference table faced the seating area. 5 board members sat behind nameplates. About 20 residents filled the chairs. I recognized most faces from neighborhood walks. Andrew Rogers sat in the front row. He nodded when he saw me. Sadie Mitchell occupied the secretary position at the board table. The president, a thin man named Andrew Hartwell, called the meeting to order. Standard agenda items: budget reports, landscape maintenance contracts, pool facility updates. New business, Hartwell announced. Compliance matters. Sadie Mitchell consulted her notes. We have 14 active violation cases. Most involve landscaping infractions. 2 involve architectural modifications. 1 involves refuse container placement. She didn't mention my case specifically, but I counted 15 violation notices in the monthly newsletter. Someone was missing from her tally. During the public comment period, I stood up. "I received a violation notice last week," I said. "The inspection photos show angles that would require access to my private property. My security system shows no inspector visited during the documented time frame." Murmurs rippled through the room. Several residents turned to look at me. Hartwell consulted with the other board members. "We'll have our management company investigate your concerns. Please submit a written complaint to Pinnacle Property Services. I'd like to know who filed the original complaint against my property. That information remains confidential to protect residents from retaliation." The meeting continued. I stayed until adjournment. Afterward, Andrew Rogers approached me in the parking lot. "Same thing happened to my neighbor last month," he said. "Violation photos taken from impossible angles. No inspector ever showed up." "Did they fight it?" "Paid the fine. Didn't want the hassle." I drove home thinking about patterns. Multiple residents receiving questionable violations. Photos taken from private property. No actual inspections occurring. Someone was running a systematic fraud operation. The next morning, I called the Laurel Creek City Clerk's office. I requested copies of all permits and inspections for Heritage Park subdivision over the past 6 months. Public records. $15 for processing. I also contacted a surveyor. My property boundaries needed professional verification. If someone was fabricating violations, they might be manipulating property lines too. The surveyor, a woman named Sadie Brennan, arrived that afternoon. She used a Trimble GPS unit to establish precise coordinates, measured distances with a laser rangefinder, checked my fence placement against the recorded plat. "Everything looks correct," she said. "Your setbacks meet code requirements. Fence height complies with city ordinances. No encroachments on neighboring properties." Could someone alter survey records? Not easily. The county maintains digital archives with timestamps. Any changes would leave an audit trail. That evening, I reviewed the city records I'd requested. Heritage Park had received 43 code enforcement visits in 6 months. Most involved legitimate complaints. Noise violations, parking infractions, overgrown vegetation. But 12 cases matched the pattern I'd identified. Violation photos taken from private property. No corresponding inspection reports. Fines paid without appeals. I cross-referenced the addresses with HOA board member information. Found the connection I'd been looking for. Every fraudulent case involved properties within 2 blocks of 923 Aspen Court. The home of Sadie Mitchell, HOA secretary and social committee head. I spent the weekend mapping the affected properties, creating a timeline of violations, documenting the photographic, Building a case. Sadie Mitchell had been systematically targeting her neighbors, filing false complaints, fabricating inspection photos, collecting fines through fraudulent violations. She had access to HOA records, keys to common areas, relationships with board members. The perfect position to manipulate the system. But I still needed proof of how she'd access private properties to take the photos, and linking her directly to the false complaints. Monday morning, I installed additional security cameras, covered my backyard, side yards, all property access points. If someone tried to photograph my property again, I'd have them on video. I also contacted 3 neighbors who'd received questionable violations, explained what I'd discovered, asked them to review their security footage. 2 had no cameras. But Andrew Rogers found something interesting. His system had captured a figure in his backyard at 2:17 a.m. on the night before his violation notice arrived. The person wore dark clothing and carried a professional camera with a flash unit. The footage was grainy, but the timestamp proved someone had trespassed to document his property. "I know that walk," he said, reviewing the video. "That's Sadie Mitchell." We had our smoking gun. Now we needed to prove it. Tuesday morning, I called the Laurel Creek City Hall, asked to speak with the Land Use Bureau. They transferred me to investigator Jordan Peterson from the city's zoning department. "I need to report systematic HOA fraud," I said. "False code enforcement complaints, trespassing for violation documentation, financial misconduct." Peterson scheduled a meeting for Thursday afternoon, asked me to bring all documentation, witness statements. I spent 2 days organizing everything. Created a comprehensive file with violation notices, security footage, property maps, and financial records. Andrew Rogers provided his video and a sworn statement. Thursday arrived. Peterson's office occupied the 3rd floor of the municipal building. Gray carpet, fluorescent lighting, file cabinets lining every wall. "Show me what you have," Peterson said, settling behind his desk. I laid out them methodically. The pattern of violations, the suspicious timing, the photographic inconsistencies, the security footage showing trespassing. Peterson examined each document carefully, made notes, asked specific questions about dates and locations. "This is substantial," he said finally, "but I need more than circumstantial to pursue criminal charges." "What do you need?" "Direct proof of fraud. Documentation showing intentional deception, of financial gain through false complaints." I had an idea. "What if we set up a controlled situation? Create an opportunity for her to file a false complaint?" Peterson considered this. "That could work, but it has to be completely legal, no entrapment." We developed a plan. I would create a minor temporary violation on my property, something easily correctable but technically against HOA guidelines, then monitor whether Sadie Mitchell would photograph it illegally and file a false complaint. Friday evening, I placed a small storage shed in my backyard, positioned it 6 inches over the setback lines specified in the HOA covenants. Technically a violation, but minor and easily moved. I documented the shed's placement with photographs and measurements, established the timeline, then waited. Saturday night, my security cameras captured everything. At 1:43 a.m., a figure approached my back fence, climbed over, photographed the shed from multiple angles using a professional camera with flash. The footage was crystal clear. Sadie Mitchell's face, her distinctive jacket, her license plate visible in the background. Monday morning, I received a violation notice. Unauthorized structure placement violating Section 4.2.1 of Heritage Park Covenants. Fine, $150. Compliance required within 72 hours. The accompanying photograph showed my shed, taken from inside my fenced backyard. At night, without permission. I called Peterson immediately. "We have her. Tuesday afternoon, Peterson arrived at my house with 2 officers. We reviewed the security footage together. Compared it with the violation notice. Documented the chain. This constitutes criminal trespassing, Peterson said. Plus fraud in the filing of false municipal complaints. We'll need to interview other affected homeowners. Over the next week, Peterson interviewed 6 neighbors who'd received questionable violations. 3 had security footage showing nighttime trespassing. All had received violation notices with photographs taken from private property. The investigation expanded. Peterson discovered Sadie Mitchell had filed 47 complaints in 6 months, collected over $3,200 in fines, used her position as HOA secretary to expedite processing and avoid scrutiny. She'd been running a systematic fraud operation, targeting neighbors with minor violations, trespassing to document them, filing complaints for financial gain. Thursday morning, Peterson called with an update. We're filing charges. Criminal trespassing, fraud, abuse of fiduciary duty. The district attorney is interested. What happens next? Arraignment next week. We'll need you and the other witnesses to testify. This case could set precedent for HOA oversight. Friday evening, I attended an emergency HOA board meeting. 23 homeowners packed the community center. Word had spread about the investigation. Board President Andrew Rogers called the meeting to order. We're here to address serious allegations against a board member. Sadie Mitchell sat in the front row, silent, pale, her usual confidence completely gone. I presented the publicly. Security footage, violation notices, financial records, the systematic pattern of fraud. This affects every homeowner in Heritage Park, I said. Our HOA fees funded this operation. Our trust was violated. The board voted unanimously to remove Sadie Mitchell from all positions, suspended her HOA privileges, initiated civil proceedings to recover fraudulent fines. We're also implementing new oversight procedures, Rogers announced. All violation complaints will require board review. No single member can process fines independently. Sadie Mitchell left without speaking. Her resignation letter arrived by email the next morning. The following week, she was arrested at her home. Local news covered the story. HOA secretary charged with systematic fraud. The investigation had uncovered additional victims in neighboring subdivisions. Peterson's case file grew to include 63 fraudulent complaints across 4 HOA communities. Total financial impact exceeded $8,000. The scope was larger than anyone had imagined. She'd been doing this for 2 years, Peterson told me. Started small. Got bolder when nobody questioned her methods. The trial was scheduled for spring. But Sadie Mitchell's attorney negotiated a plea agreement. Full restitution to affected homeowners, community service, probation, permanent ban from HOA board service. Justice was finally within reach. 6 months later, Heritage Park felt different. Quieter, more honest. The new HOA board implemented transparent procedures. All violation complaints required photographic. Board review within 72 hours. Appeal processes clearly defined. No more secret inspections or mysterious fines. My property line dispute was officially resolved. The city survey confirmed my fence placement was correct. Peterson's investigation had revealed Sadie Mitchell's measurements were deliberately falsified to create violations. The restitution check arrived in March. $340 for fraudulent fines, plus legal fees. The money mattered less than the vindication. I kept the original violation notices in a file cabinet. Of how easily trust could be weaponized. How suburban authority could corrupt quietly. Other homeowners reached out regularly. Questions about property rights, HOA procedures, legal resources. I'd become an unofficial neighborhood advocate. You saved us thousands in fraudulent fines, Andrew Rogers told me at the spring community meeting. The board wants to formally thank you. The recognition felt good, but the real satisfaction came from the changes. New homeowners received detailed packets explaining their rights. Board meetings included public comment periods. Financial records were posted online monthly. Sadie Mitchell moved away in April. Her house sold quickly, below market value. The new owners seemed nice, kept to themselves, no complaints about fence heights or mailbox colors. I developed a smartphone app for documenting property boundary issues. Simple interface. GPS coordinates. Photo timestamps. Legal compliance features. Other HOA communities started requesting access. The app gained traction beyond Wyoming. Property disputes were universal suburban problems. Documentation was always the solution. Peterson recommended me for a citizen advisory position with the City Planning Commission. You understand how these systems can be abused, he said. We need that perspective. The position was voluntary. Monthly meetings, review development proposals, ensure HOA regulations stayed within legal boundaries, prevent future Sadie Mitchells from exploiting homeowner trust. My daily routine returned to normal. Morning coffee on the back deck. Evening walks through the neighborhood. Weekend yard work without fear of manufactured violations. The security cameras stayed active. Not from paranoia, from prudence. Hollywood's protection. Heritage Park's reputation recovered. Property values stabilized. New families moved in regularly. The community felt genuine again. Sometimes I wondered if Sadie Mitchell planned the whole scheme from the beginning, or if power gradually corrupted her good intentions. The motivation mattered less than the prevention. Trust required verification. Authority demanded oversight. Suburban peace needed constant vigilance. The neighborhood was healing. The systems were stronger. The silence felt earned. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.